Father Natale Santon was a priest of the Diocese of Pellestrina in Italy. In January 2025, he was formally excommunicated by church authorities for publicly questioning the legitimacy of Pope Francis. In various YouTube videos, he asserted that Pope Benedict XVI had not genuinely resigned in 2013 and shared additional criticisms regarding the Church's leadership. Despite repeated warnings from his bishop, Father Santon persisted in making these declarations online, prompting a canonical investigation. The Church ultimately determined that he had committed schism, denying the authority of the Pope and undermining the unity of the Church. Consequently, he is now barred from celebrating the sacraments or functioning as a priest in any public capacity. His case exemplifies the challenges the Church faces in preserving unity in an age where digital platforms can rapidly disseminate divisive ideas. Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano, a former high-ranking Vatican official and apostolic nuncio to the United States, was officially excommunicated on July 5, 2024. The Vatican reached this conclusion after years of scrutinizing his public declarations. He had openly rejected essential teachings of the Second Vatican Council and refused to acknowledge Pope Francis as the legitimate pontiff. Vigano gained notoriety in 2018 following the release of a letter in which he accused the Vatican of mishandling sexual abuse allegations involving a former cardinal. However, his persistent defiance of papal authority and opposition to doctrinal norms led to his excommunication. This penalty, known as latae sententiae, took effect automatically under canon law. Since then, he has been excluded from all sacramental and ministerial functions within the Church. 10 Poor Clare nuns from a convent in Belar, Spain, were excommunicated on June 22, 2024. This action followed their public declaration on May 13 that they no longer recognized the Catholic Church's authority. In a formal manifesto, they expressed dissent from several key teachings promulgated after the Second Vatican Council. They also declared allegiance to Pablo de Rojos Sanchefranco, himself previously excommunicated. The nuns claimed that Pope Pius XIII was the last valid pope and accused the Church of wrongdoing in property disputes. Their refusal to engage with the Church tribunal or seek reconciliation led to an automatic excommunication. As a result, they were stripped of their religious status and sacramental participation. The case drew significant attention in Spain and reflects the complexities the Church faces when entire religious communities choose to break away. Father Ramon Gaiti, a priest in the Diocese of Livorno, Italy, was excommunicated on January 1, 2024, following a controversial homily delivered on New Year's Eve at San Ranari Parish in Giddi. The occasion marked the anniversary of Pope Benedict XVI's death, during which Father Gaiti questioned the legitimacy of Pope Francis using inflammatory language. After a review by the diocesan bishop, it was determined that he had committed the canonical offense of schism, which incurs automatic excommunication. Consequently, he was stripped of all priestly faculties and urged to seek reconciliation. In a later radio interview, he expressed disagreement with the Church's judgment. His case highlights the tension between clergy and church hierarchy when ecclesiastical authority is openly challenged. Father Kazis Weslik, a Polish priest, had been expelled from his religious order in 2018 due to repeated acts of disobedience. Nonetheless, he continued conducting unauthorized religious services and openly criticized both Pope Francis and the reforms of the Second Vatican Council. On September 25, 2023, Pope Francis ratified his excommunication after a prolonged investigation. The Vatican's doctrinal office concluded that Weslik had willfully severed his communion with the Church and persistently defied ecclesiastical authority. As a result, he incurred automatic excommunication and is no longer recognized as a priest with rights or duties in the Catholic Church. Although he contested the penalty, the Church has encouraged him to return through the process of reconciliation. Father Marko Ivan Rupnik, a Slovenian Jesuit priest and renowned religious artist, was excommunicated in May 2020 by the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith. The charge was a serious canonical violation involving the sacrament of confession. He was found to have imparted absolution to a person with whom he had been involved inappropriately, a grave offense under canon law. The case garnered significant public interest because it centered on the integrity of a core sacrament. After a 2-year investigation, the excommunication was imposed but was later lifted that same month following Rupnik's formal act of repentance. However, more than 20 individuals subsequently came forward with allegations of misconduct dating back to the 1980s and 1990s. In 2023, the Jesuit order expelled him for disobedience. His case has sparked broader conversations about transparency and safeguarding within the Church. Father Jeremy Leatherby, a priest from Sacramento, California, was excommunicated on August 7, 2020, by Bishop Jaime Soto after prolonged concerns. Suspended in 2016 due to misconduct allegations, he continued to conduct unauthorized private masses during his suspension, especially amid the COVID-19 pandemic. During these liturgies, he refused to acknowledge Pope Francis in the Eucharistic prayer, instead naming Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI. This act of public dissent was deemed schismatic. Following his excommunication, Father Leatherby accepted the decision and requested to be released from the priesthood. Pope Francis granted this request, and Leatherby is no longer affiliated with any clerical role in the Church. Thomas Lavlasik, a former Franciscan priest, was excommunicated on July 15, 2020. The Vatican's doctrinal office cited multiple violations of Church law, including unauthorized ministry, dissemination of false teachings, and abandonment of ecclesiastical obedience. Lavlasik gained attention for advising devotees of the Medjugorje apparitions, which the Church has never formally approved. Despite being laicized in 2019, he continued to operate independently and established a new sect called the Church of Jesus Christ of the Universe. He also performed sacraments without authorization. The Diocese of Brea confirmed his excommunication after he rejected several overtures for reconciliation. He is no longer permitted to minister or receive sacraments within the Church. The Black Hermits of Western Scotland, comprising Father Stephen Durdell, Sister Colette Roberts, and Brother Damon Kelly, were excommunicated on December 24, 2019, by Bishop Brian Margie of the Diocese of Argyll and the Isles. In April 2019, they had publicly declared their rejection of Pope Francis and the authority of the Vatican via a statement on their website. They voiced theological objections and expressed dissatisfaction with the Church's trajectory. Their break from ecclesial unity constituted schism. After refusing all attempts at dialogue or reconciliation, they were automatically excommunicated. They are no longer regarded as members of the Catholic Church. Pablo de Rojos Sánchez Franco was excommunicated in July 2019 by Bishop Mario of Bilbao, Spain. He had established an independent religious entity unaffiliated with the Catholic Church. Sánchez Franco claimed to have been consecrated a bishop in 1926 by a prelate associated with the Primaran movement, though he denied formal ties to that group. He rejected the reforms of the Second Vatican Council and all papacies following that of Pope Pius XIII. His defiance of ecclesiastical authority and the establishment of a breakaway sect prompted his excommunication. His case underscores the Church's serious response to schismatic acts that jeopardize ecclesial unity. Each of these cases represents a profound instance where individuals or communities diverged from the Church's doctrine or governance. Excommunication is never administered lightly. It is not intended as retribution, but as a call to examine one's beliefs and behavior and to seek reconciliation. When persons deny core teachings, defy papal authority, or create parallel communities, it endangers the unity and fidelity of the Church. Thus, excommunication functions both as a protective measure for the Church and as a path inviting the estranged back into communion. In the contemporary digital era, where dissent can spread rapidly through social media and public platforms, maintaining doctrinal cohesion becomes especially demanding. Nevertheless, the Church's response remains anchored in canon law and guided by a pastoral balance of justice and mercy. While excommunication excludes an individual from receiving sacraments or holding ministry, it always leaves open the possibility for return through sincere repentance and restoration.